Are you a sanctuary state?
No, we're not.
Is Providence a sanctuary city?
I don't believe they are.
Governor says we're not a sanctuary state, and we haven't had busloads of migrants shipped up from Texas, but that he has a plan if it comes to that.
We're impatiently waiting, as everyone else is, for the final results to come in from a couple more of the consulting companies that we hired to take a look at different aspects of the bridge.
And the DOT director tells me within a week and a half, we'll have all the Fix the Bridge reports in, so stand by for the plan.
Holding the powerful accountable from Washington, D.C. to right here in southern New England. This is 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Gene Valicenti. Governor McKee making news with me on the radio on WPRO, and he's all in on all that, the state's new tourism campaign. In fact, he bought the T-shirt, gave me the magnets, too. It is all that, although he admits he was a little confused at first, like many of the rest of us.
Did they run this by you before they rolled it out? Did they say, Governor, this is the plan, it's called All That? And what did you think when you heard it? I mean, honestly, be an honest answer.
Well,
did you have to prove it?
I think I reacted the same way. Like, what does that mean? But when I kind of heard the promotions around it and all the media, all the PR around it, it made sense. We're all that. We got the ocean, we got the food, we got the universities, we got a lot of diversity, we got entertainment, we got the theater, we got PPAC, we got the airport. Just the list goes on and on and on.
All right. So at first, it did take you a little. You were a little unsure.
Well, I was pleased when I found out that all the tourism councils in the state reviewed like 3 different options, and then they did some polling out. So they did their work, and Anika at Commerce, and I also knew at that time that although it was considered the stuffy campaign, that was just a small piece of the entire promotion. So I got confidence, and I understand yesterday's yesterday on some of the things that happened.
Cooler and warmer.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that.
That's not you.
I didn't want to mention that.
That's not you.
That's
what I'm here for. Yeah,
that's right. But today's today, and I'm very hopeful that we're going to be up again on our destination marketing, so we can keep the economy going in the state. And and factors in that, we've flown out to Los Angeles recently within the last few days. Last week, met with 20 national media outlets. Jennifer Hudson, who has a syndicated show, as she sang at the halftime of the NBA All-Star game. She's had her staff in, and now they're doing a national marketing on that show for Rhode Island. So it's an all-in effort.
Listen, it's been paid for. The check is in. You were a little uncertain, but then you found out more about it, and you're all in on all that. Governor, have you chased down rumors of any buses? Do we have any here?
Yeah, but there's no indication that anything is like that happening like in other states right now in Rhode Island. We're hopeful that it stays that way, but we're also planning. We have our EMA director, Mark Pappas, that has been charged with facilitating an all-in government strategy, municipality, statewide, federal-wide. So, look, we'll be prepared if something happens, and if it doesn't happen, then we'll be happy just to take care of the people that live in the state of Rhode Island. Okay,
Mayor Smiley says I can handle them for 48 hours. If the bus comes to Kennedy Plaza, I have mattresses, I have food, I'll put them in the libraries and the rec centers. He said, but after 2 days, that's the governor's responsibility. Where are you going to put them after 2 days?
Well, again, I'll let Mark speak to that. But look, we've set up hospitals in the state for hospital beds for the COVID. We're well experienced in dealing with these emergencies, Gene. I'm not concerned about it. I am concerned if it happens. This is not something that I think should happen to the state of Rhode Island.
Okay, you know what's going on with the release of this inmate who was held on a child rape charge. He was allowed bail by the judge, but the ICE had a detainer on him. Somehow the guy was released. Now, I know you've said that. Well, you go ahead. Give me the explanation as to what happened over there. Why?
We've documented that we have followed the law, and we have. So we've reported back that that individual was let out on bail through the courts after the state asked them not to have bail. Mm-hmm. And on the release, our sheriffs called ICE and said that this individual was going to be released on bail to come and pick them up. It's documented that ICE responded by they didn't have the staff to come down and get it done. So at that point in time, there was no choice relative to if we wanted to break the law, you could, but that's not our we're not going to be breaking the law. So we're just pleased that the individual is back in custody. One of the interesting things there, though, I think, is that that individual has showed up to his court appearances that he was supposed to show up at. So he ended up not being a flight risk, but I can tell you that we're happy that he's in custody. The charge against him is very serious. And we really don't want an individual like that free and able to potentially do it again. So we're happy that he's in custody.
Okay, I went back and forth with Mayor Smiley. I said, why don't you tell your police department when they have a suspect brought in on a criminal charge and you believe him to be an illegal immigrant, why don't you call ICE right away? Why don't you have your police department call ICE and say, we have someone here you might be of interest? He won't do it. He said, well, there's a database for that. And he went around, he won't do it. He won't order his police department to do that. Do your state police do that for you? Will you do that?
So we'll follow the law, and if someone is criminally charged, we have the ability to notify ICE. And I was with the National Governors Association. I met with Secretary Mayorkas on this very topic.
Okay.
At the White House, and he did say that some communities don't actually cooperate with ICE. In this case, we wanted to cooperate with ICE. That's why we gave them a call.
Going forward, though, practically, have you given your state police a directive? If you pick somebody up on 95, whatever charge it is, and you're holding them and you believe them to be an illegal immigrant, are they supposed to call ICE?
As long as they're following the law, they can call ICE. But if they're picked up like for a minor violation, constitutionally wise, it violates our Constitution to do that. So we got to make sure there's a difference between just somebody that's jaywalking.
No, well, you know it. Not jay. I pick up the guy for drugs on Route 95. I got a stash. It happens all the time. We believe him to be an illegal immigrant. They've done their questioning. They believe he's not here. You're okay with them calling ICE directly?
We're okay. I'm okay with dealing, with communicating with ICE and working with ICE in the circumstances where we have someone that's breaking the law and we don't want them here in the state of Rhode Island.
You've told your Colonel Weaver that? Is that a directive from you, or is that just
I haven't had that directive with him, but I know that the directive is to follow the law, follow our Constitution.
Chafee got rid of E-Verify. Governor Kacheri had E-Verify in. You hire somebody, you got to verify that they're a citizen before you hire them. You didn't put that back.
Yeah, I don't know that. I did have that in the town of Cumberland, no E-Verify. So I'll check what's there.
Well,
yeah.
Kacheri had E-Verify. It's very controversial. When he left, Chafee got rid of it. Would you reinstate that? E-Verify? You object to that or no?
No, I don't object to it. Like I said, as a mayor, I had E-Verify.
And you'd be okay with that on the state level? E-Verify?
Yeah, there's news.
Okay, I think he made some news.
Okay.
Governor says he's okay with that. Made a little news there. The governor also thinks pensioners who took a haircut under Governor Raimondo should get something back. He didn't give a specific, but he says that's up to the General Assembly. That comes in the wake of the General Treasurer's report recommending options for legislators to consider if they're so inclined to restore the cuts retired state workers are still stewing over, as NBC 10 political reporter Brian Crandall tells us.
Pension cuts, a hot topic in Rhode Island since then State Treasurer Gene Raimondo led the charge to cut retiree benefits in 2011.
What occurred in 2011 was so wrong.
Sandra Paquette and Aldo Palazzo lead a retiree group pushing to bring benefits back.
We have too many Rhode Islanders, retirees, teachers, state employees who are suffering.
Retirees say the state used faulty numbers to make the cuts back then. Cuts coming as the state pension was under 50% funded, with a $7 billion unfunded liability. Most notably, cost of living adjustments, COLAs, were cut, with the plan to bring them back in about 20 years. But as high inflation took hold, a new effort was born to take a new look at the cuts. That was the objective of the Pension Advisory Working Group under a directive from lawmakers. They calculated the cost of about 30 different options, like bringing back full 3% compounding COLAs, which would cost the state $75 million in the next year. Providing the COLA based on if the retirees had been getting them all along. That would cost $169 million. A one-time 3% COLA would cost $10.5 million.
I think that what we have done is provide a menu or a roadmap of what possible things could be done and what their cost is.
Sandra Paquette urges lawmakers and the public not to get scared off by the cost.
You have people who worked their whole life, paid into a pension fund, and just had the rug pulled out from under us.
So the governor once again tells me he thinks those pensioners should get something, although he doesn't know what's going to happen this year. It's really up to the state legislature. By the way, the governor was wearing a sweatshirt, not because he was on the radio, but because he's supporting the Rhode Island College women's basketball team, the Anchor Women. Coming up next, Peter Alvide, the DOT director, tells me when those bridge reports will be in.
Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
DOT Director Peter Alvide telling me on the radio on Ask the DOT that the Fix the Washington Bridge reports and recommendations should be completed within a week to a week and a half's time, and that the foundation pilings and base stones that go down to the riverbed are in pretty good shape, suggesting that perhaps maybe a new bridge could be built on top of those essential elements.
Part of one of the reports came in last week, and we're expecting the remainder of them to come in during the next week or week and a half. Once we have them all together, we'll sit down with the team. We'll figure out what course we're going to follow and what the scope of the work is going to be for putting a bridge in place there on the westbound lane, and then we'll move forward. Move right into the construction demolition.
You got part of one report. Can you tell me what's in it?
Yeah, that was the one that was leaked, and of course that contained preliminary advice on the superstructure, the bridge deck itself and the bridge beams. Now we're waiting for a report on the rest of the bridge structure, and we'll take that along with the report from last week, and we'll get the team together and figure it out. Now we'll sit down with the governor and discuss it and come to a course of action.
Have you pretty much decided already that we need a new bridge? We may be able to save the pilings, the bedrock that goes down to the floor on the seabed. Is that pretty much safe to report? It's going to be a new bridge.
The initial report on some of the components of the superstructure recommends that. But as I said, now we'll be blending it in with the rest of the information that we get to see what the actual course of action is going to be.
Okay, week and a half, maybe a little more than that. You're going to have your news conference, I assume, at some point. You let us know.
We're driving them hard to get the information to us, but we're also letting them have their time to be able to do it properly and completely so that we know exactly what our options are here.
You've asked for an extension 3 more weeks to get your paperwork and records to the U.S. attorney who's investigating whether or not work that the taxpayers paid for was actually completed. Is that just a matter of practicality? You have to go find the boxes? You need more time to get the records?
It is. There are a lot of records, and there are a lot of employees, of course, at DOT, and various correspondence from various contractors over the years since 2015. So our folks have been in constant touch with the DOJ and cooperating, and the DOJ was good enough to give us a little bit of an extension so that we can make sure that we get them every single record that exists on the Washington Bridge, and particularly the tension rods that are suspect.
Your lawyers are probably going to advise you don't say too much about a court investigation. Having said that, it's my understanding they want to know if the taxpayers paid for work that wasn't completed. Would that be your people submitting a bill, or would that be a private contractor submitting a bill, and we find out that the work wasn't complete? What's your understanding of this?
Well, the private contractor submits invoices to DOT personnel who process it, so we're a conduit, and we then submit those payment requests to the federal government. So it includes all 3 agencies, the Federal Highway Administration, DOT, and the contractor.
Are you aware of any work that the taxpayers paid for that wasn't completed?
I'm not. No. Since I've been here in 2015, as far as I'm aware, we've paid for what we got.
Thursdays on the radio, Ask the DOT. All right, next up, Providence Mayor Brett Smiley talks to me about the city's plan to shelter migrants if the buses arrive. In the wake of high-profile crimes involving migrants in his city, New York City Mayor Eric Adams orders his police department to notify federal immigration agents right away whenever it charges an illegal immigrant or suspected illegal immigrant with a crime. That's a change. It's also something Providence Mayor Brett Smiley will not do in his city. Now, this came up in the wake of that arrest and release, very controversial case involving a foreign national who was released despite ICE having a detainer on him. The mayor talks about this. Let's listen.
I think our process, as it stands, remains the right process. In this case, Providence police, keep in mind, were the one that arrested this this guy. So I would think that the people of Providence should take some comfort that we actually arrested him.
Yeah.
We processed him and then turned him over to the ACI. He went to court. Judge made a decision. From what I understand of the travel of the case, and there's admittedly some finger pointing that's taking place right now, where the sheriffs are saying they called ICE. ICE said they didn't have someone and to come get this guy. Providence doesn't run the prison, right? We have holding cells, and we'll hold you when we're processing for charges, and then you get sent to the ACI. I think Providence Police, in this case, and as an example of how we would handle future policy, did it just right, which is this guy was brought up on charges of child molestation. We found him. We arrested him. Mm-hmm. We sent him to the ACI. And then it gets handed over to them.
And you don't think it's a better policy that when your cops arrest an illegal immigrant, that they call ICE right away and say, we got this guy? And you should know about it. What's wrong with that? Why wouldn't you do that?
I think the distinction between our policy and what you're suggesting is very minor. ICE has access and knows when we have someone in our custody.
Only if they check the database. They have to do the work. Why wouldn't you call somebody, have your lieutenant on duty, the commander on duty, say, I got this guy, call up ICE and say, we got him here, by the way. Just want you to know. Why wouldn't you do that?
Because we are a short step in this process. We arrest and process and then transfer to the ACI. I think that's a better question for the ACI because we're the city police. I don't know exactly how it works in New York in terms of their holding cells. I think, actually I know because I read enough about it, that Rikers, for example, is a city prison where they obviously hold people for a long period of time. That's not how it works in Providence. We have holding cells at the public safety complex, and nobody stays there for more than 24 hours. And the only time that they're even there that long is if it's on overnight on the weekends before we can transfer someone to the ACI. We don't hold people for an extended period of time. We are a processing step, and then they go to the ACI. So that's a better question for them. ICE isn't going to come in the first 5 hours to the Providence Public Safety Complex, and they have access to know when we've picked someone up. I still think it's the right policy.
Okay, listen, we can go back and forth.
Yeah.
I just don't see what's wrong with your people, your police, calling ICE and tell them, I got this guy. And I know he's on your radar, and we got him here. But all right, listen, we're not going to beat it. That's your answer.
Yeah.
Are you a sanctuary city?
Again, that means different things to different people. I've explained just now. We've gone through what our policy is. I would imagine there's some people in the world who think that means we are, and there are some people in the world who thinks that means we're not. It's a politically charged term that means different things to different people, and it's certainly not something that I bang the table in either decrying or proud of. I talk about what our policy is, and people can draw their own conclusions of what that means.
Okay, let's move on to other issues. I saw another homeless encampment off Branch Avenue. We talked about that last time you were here.
Yeah.
That was my understanding that the governor was going to take care of all this. We're going to have enough beds. We're going to have more beds than we need. The pallets have been put up.
Yep.
Why are there still encampments, Mayor?
So each one of these, as you know, is a case by case. The Branch Avenue one, for example, we have sent Amos House out about a month ago, and the individuals there are waiting for placements in shelters. The State Department of Housing has been working with the outreach providers. We've been staying on top of the state. That's state property, and they have been notified. Every one of these things we just keep working on a daily and weekly basis, and this one is in process where, we've gone through the process every time when we're on the show. We talk about how we send providers, offer help, then we give notice to evict, then we evict. We are in the send providers stage because the state is hoping to find shelter placement for those individuals.
Well, you do address it when you're on with me. And to be honest with you, I thought this was all taken care of.
So did I.
So did I misunderstand? I thought Stefan said, no, this winter we're going to have enough places. Don't worry. And all of a sudden I see, well, that's not the case. So what did I miss? What did you miss?
What I missed is the process continues to take more time than it should, and particularly when it comes to state properties, it's frustrating to me that we continue to have the same. We have to go through the same process every time where we ask for permission to try to clear an encampment on state property. If the state were to, for example, simply, either issue regulations or give us a blanket permission to evict from state property, we wouldn't have to go through this every time. But every time it pops back up again, we go back through the process where we notify them, we ask for permission, they send providers, and we keep doing it over and over again.
Bob's in Providence. Go ahead, Bob. You got a question for the mayor. Go, Bob.
My question to you is, does the city of Providence have a plan for a migrant surge? Where can I get the details about it, and how much funding is associated with it?
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, a really important question that we've been thinking about for as long as I've been in office. So we have a short-term plan, but it is a short-term plan, and I need to be really honest. Nobody has a good long-term plan for this. So we have a plan on what would happen in the first 48, 72 hours, where people would sleep, how we would get them basic supplies and meet their basic needs upon arrival. But that's sort of where the plan ends. And that's where the state needs to pick up. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm passing the buck, but in most places in the country, there's county government. And county government is usually where the funding for these kind of things live. In Rhode Island, the state runs the things that the county might run, things like hospitals and prisons. And so there is funding that comes from the federal government for refugees and migrants. Every state or county gets that money. The state of Rhode Island has that money. And that needs to be the budget to take care of this challenge. And so we've been working with the Rhode Island Department of Emergency Management to help inform their plan, because if a bus came into Kennedy Plaza in the middle of the night tonight, we have a plan for what to do for the next 2 days, but the state then needs to step in and provide the care necessary, and they have the funding that's federal funds that gets passed down to meet the needs of the folks that might arrive. Now, there's been a lot in the press about this, of course. We have not yet received any sort of large transfer of migrants. Occasionally there have been rumors that we have. It has not happened. I've chased down some of these rumors, and as long as I've been in office, it hasn't occurred. Of course, we have undocumented immigrants in Providence and in other communities in Rhode Island, but we haven't received a migrant busload or anything like that. And we have a short-term plan, but that's where the plan ends at the local level. The state then needs to step in and take it from there. In terms of where can you get a copy of this plan, the Rhode Island Department of Emergency Management would be the place to seek that plan, because this would be a statewide migrant plan for which Providence would contribute, as would the other communities. But that's both the real answer and the obvious shortcomings of the plan.
It's state money. It's not your city tax money?
So in Boston, for example, they just took one of their recreation centers and set up cots and things like that. So, there would be city resources put towards it, of course, but the actual funding for long-term housing, medical care, basic food supplies, that would all be state funded, although probably federal dollars that are in the possession of the state.
All right. Mayor, give us the plan. If the bus shows up at Kennedy Plaza, which I assume it would come there, you're going to find out about it late. Yeah. Hey, they're here. Where are you putting them? That night and the next night? Where?
Yeah, so we have a storage of cots and basic supplies that we store no matter what, whether it's a hurricane or a migrant surge. We have these emergency supplies. We would set them up in a couple facilities, most likely rec centers and maybe some library space.
There you go. That's the mayor. Rec spaces, library, but just for 48 hours. After that, the governor told me he has his own plan, and he has space, and he has his own cots. He'll take care of it. But right now, both men say There's no indication that we're receiving busloads. Well, hold it there. Check out all of those interviews on our podcast, WPRO.com. In the meantime, check me out on the news next week at 6 o'clock, and I will see you next weekend on 10 News Conference.